お前はもう死んでいる。
Hey YouTube, I'm actually here to talk about chapter 953 of One Piece, but before I do that, I just want to vent a little bit because I am pretty upset. I just went through the whole chapter. I recorded this entire reaction. I went on for maybe like a 30-minute rant with everything that I was talking about, only to realize in the end that the camera stopped recording halfway. So I'm trying to go into my Zen mode, trying to not get overwhelmingly upset because it's been a long work day, and this was really all I was looking forward to when I got home, even though I did get some really good news at work. But without further ado, what I'm going to do instead is just review the chapter, talk about what my thoughts on it. I'm just kind of going to go through it as I review the chapter page by page. But yeah, we had started with the cover page with Capone that is deciding to go back to Thriller Bark. I thought that was unexpected. I knew they were going to go look for Lola, but I just didn't see why Lola would still be in Thriller Bark after, all these 2 years. But yeah, the chapter starts off with Kawamatsu reading a letter in the past that Hiyori sent him, which we still don't really know why Hiyori left or what happened with that, but it seemed that Kawamatsu was pretty broken up about it because he went looking for her, and if you see his crying face, it is not a very pretty crying face. So, he goes through the towns, he goes through the wastelands, he goes through the rain, he goes through all sorts of climate conditions, just looking for her, And then we cut back to the present day where we see Gyukimaru kind of running away. And Zoro even makes a comment about the way that he's running. He's like, you wouldn't think he's carrying a truckload of weapons with him. And, now that I see that I got into the end of the chapter, I understand a little bit more about why that even was said. So he says, where the heck even are we? And then, Zoro is just trying to follow Gyukimaru. He gets, Then we cut back to the Bandit Bridge, where we have Kawamatsu talking to Hiyori, and they're having a conversation. He's telling her that if she's supposedly not a child, why is she all pouty and whatever. And then she asks him, how he even ended up there. And he goes into a story where he talks about how in the past he ran into a fox, right? He ran into a fox that was a legendary fox that belonged to the daimyo of the Ringo clan, I want to say. The daimyo of the clan that belonged... Yeah. The frosty northern reaches of Wano, Ringo and the neighboring Hakumai were once both ruled by the fierce and powerful Shimotsuki clan. So the fox belonged to the daimyo, who was the leader of the Shimotsuki clan. And this was all before, Kaido came and messed up their whole country. And then, Kawamatsu asks if Hiyori knows about the custom known as eternal burial. And he talks about how, it's the concept where bodies are left in coffins in the cold that are able to be preserved for hundreds of years. And Kawamatsu tells her how they are marked by katanas, and that in the past, all these bodies that were buried, they were buried with their katanas because people were, when they were born, they were given a blade so that they can train with it all their lives, and at the end of their lives, they would go to the grave with that blade. And it seems that in this burial ground, the fox that belonged to the daimyo had been waiting all these years, trying to protect the burial place, stopping looters from coming and taking weapons. The fox's name was Onimaru. And so they kind of formed this bond where at first the fox isn't very happy that Kawamatsu is trying to steal the swords away, but eventually they get closer and closer because he realizes that Kawamatsu is doing it for a good cause. He's trying to help Lady Toki's vision come to life by having weapons for the time that the battle comes in the next 13 years, who Kawamatsu seems to be severely, rigid on that thought. Not a lot of people believed in Lady Toki's prediction, but Kawamatsu is 100% behind it. and eventually he gets the fox to be on his side too. So they've been going back and forth trying to procure all these weapons for the battle. And throughout all this time, I was already kind of predicting that it seems like the fox might be Gyukimaru. And it turned out that, at the end, I was right. He's a kind of trickster god, which I think is very interesting because Joy Boy Theories, who I've been following for almost 3 years, did have a prediction that not only were we going to have all types of mythical creatures in Wano, but that the Kitsune was going to be one of the most important ones. He actually predicted that it might be Lady Hiyori who was that Kitsune. But it seems that we found out in this chapter that we do have a Kitsune, but it's actually Gyukimaru. And Gyukimaru itself is a fake name that Kawamatsu took on when he was trying to protect the burial ground, because obviously he's one of the 9 red sheaths. If he said his real name, he'd be, hounded down in an instant. Then we also find out why it was that Kawamatsu got even captured in the first place, which I can't believe it. Ironically, he got captured for stealing food, and his punishment ended up being having to eat spoiled, contaminated food for 13 years. Thought that was kind of a interesting homage. I am Gyukimaru of the Bandit Bridge. So, sometime after that, after he was captured, he didn't see the fox for a long time, and now that we see why the fox was crying, we see that why Gyukimaru was crying, we see that Gyukimaru was the fox, and he not only had been protecting all these weapons for these 13 years, but he's been actually collecting more and more. And when we see how many swords are there, we certainly have enough for the battle. And we see the chapter ending with Gyukimaru turning back into a fox and just kind of calmly walking away. And I thought that was very precious. I thought that was, very special. And I can't wait for that to be animated, because it's gonna look, really cool, and it's probably gonna have, really dramatic music to make us, have all the feels. But the actual chapter ends with Zoro saying that he doesn't want to give Shusui back, but Hiyori tells him that if he gives it back, he'll give him another sword in return. A sword that her late father Odin gave her, which is the legendary sword Meitaenma, who is the only blade that is known to have cut Kaido. I don't know how this is possible. I'm sure it's going to be a black blade, because, the fact that black blades are now revered to be the best type of blades, and Zoro's out here, trying to be the best swordsman in the world, so it only makes sense. But overall, amazing chapter. Not very happy that I had to go back and re-review the entire chapter in a smaller, more condensed version, which threw me off a little bit, but I am always happy to talk about One Piece. As always, I've mentioned this before, I absolutely love One Piece, and right now we are in the climax of the entire story. We've been hyping up Wano for over 10 years, been mentioning it since Thriller Bark, and ironically the cover page today mentioned Thriller Bark. But we've been, following up to this. We've been wanting to know what's Wano like, what's going on in Wano, and now we have everything happening in Wano. We've got all the admirals coming, we've got 2 Yonko on board, we've got Luffy and the Straw Hats, we've got a bunch of supernovas like Kid, Law, we haven't seen Apu yet, but we have Hawkins, we have everything going on. This arc is going to be one for the books, and I'm sure it's not going to be done, not even within the next 2 years probably. So we've got a lot of story left in Wano, and I am too hyped to see it. But on that note, I hope that everybody has a good day and stay safe. Bye.